So, welcome to this podcast. Today, we're going to talk about caring for staff and volunteers, but we're going to get deeper into body system and peer support. And I'm here with Despina Constandinides, who is a clinical psychologist with a great interest in community-based psychology. She's been working with the Palestinian Red Crescent Society for many years, 7 years in fact, with school-based programs for children affected by armed conflict. She's also worked with ministries of social affairs. She's done consultancies in different countries. And since 2013, Despina, has been a delegate in the Middle East and North Africa region. And my name is Ea Suzanne Akasha. I'm working with the Reference Centre for Psychosocial Support. And today we're talking about peer support and body systems. So Despina, why do staff and volunteers need peer support?
First of all, we need to remember that staff and volunteers are part of the community that they serve. Like if we want to look at the current epidemic, you can see that the frontline workers, staff and volunteer, they have the same fears and emotional reactions like their beneficiaries. And on the top of that, they also have to, they have the eagerness to help and support others. So they also need to absorb and help the people they serve. If they don't have the fuel they need to go on, then I wonder how they can serve others.
So how can peer support give staff and volunteers the fuel they need to do their work?
Who knows what you're going through better than your colleague? They share the same working environment. They spend a lot of time side by side. They witness the same, suffering of people they serve. So when you talk to your peer, it's easier because there is a lot of things that you don't need to describe or make the other person understands because they already do understand.
Good. Yeah, I get that. But some people may argue that peer support is not good enough. It should be done by professionals. What do you say to that standpoint?
Oh, can I totally disagree with that?
Yes. Please explain.
Yes, definitely. Anyone can be a supporter to his or her peer. If you're talking about medical staff, management staff, cleaners, doctors, volunteers in many disciplines, anyone can be supportive, and it's a mutual process. Like it's give and take. You can support your colleague at the same time your colleague supports you. So no, you don't need to be a professional, or all what you need to have actually is the willingness to help others, and we all have this in us, and this is what we have in common as humans and as humanitarians. So just if we give them few tips, I think they can master the process with no effort, to be honest.
Good. So let me ask you, what about body systems? That's a form of peer support, but it's a bit of a structured way. Could you explain a bit about body systems and how they should be, what they do and how they should be implemented?
But systems is when it could be done in different ways. But when, for example, a team leader assigns a pair of peers together to be each other's buddies and to look after each other, and I can describe later on how can this be done. And in the absence of these systems, colleagues themselves, they can decide to be each other's buddies. I can choose you, Aya, to be my buddy, and I encourage that, to be honest, because at least we will be proactive. We wouldn't need someone to come and assign roles for us. Now, what can they do as buddies? It's really, really, sometimes it's really simple. Just check on each other. And they
How
can
do you
do
do
it.
that? How do you check on each other? Please
Yes.
explain. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So it could be simple. It could be like at the beginning of the shift when we're working together, just to ask each other if we're ready to take the day, if are we bringing some worries that we have back from home? Is there anything that we can do to each other or offer each other to feel that we're ready to take on the task of the day? What makes us prepared? Sometimes just a simple question: what is your plan for today? Encourages your peer to, to have the mindset of focusing on today's task and planning, which helps in calming us down. When we know what we have to do, it calms us down at least, instead of working in a chaos.
So one
During
thing is to have a "Are you ready?" conversation with your body. That sounds like a great idea.
Yes,
Yeah, and
yes.
then you were going on, and please
Yeah,
go
yeah,
on.
definitely. It's okay. So during the day, just check on each other. Like, have you eaten? Did you have enough water to drink? Are you okay? And sometimes, if we are aware that we need to look for each other, sometimes we also could recognize that people are being sad or being anxious or being angry. And all what our peers need from us sometimes is to acknowledge this feeling.
Mm.
So if I look at you, Aya, and I see
Mm-hmm.
that you're not doing well, sometimes all what you need is someone to tell you that I feel maybe, are you okay, Aya? Like,
Mm.
are you okay? Because I could feel that you're a little bit anxious. Our peers could choose to talk about it, or sometimes only the acknowledgement helps them to take a few deep breaths and take control over their emotions again, or they can choose to talk about it later
So
or not talk
that's
about it at all.
so you're saying, first of all, "Are you ready?" conversations, and then checking in, and they can do that if they're working together. They can talk to each other, but can they send a WhatsApp message if they're in different places?
Yes, especially in this current situation. Yes, just send a message. Sometimes a quick call. That I believe if you're working from home, you also need this human communication that is not work related, but it's it's related to your well-being. So yeah, I care so much if I just picked up the phone and called me and she said, "How was your day, Ben? Are you
Mm.
okay?" And then the last thing that they can do at the end of the day, where one technique that me and my colleagues use actually, is just ask about what went well during the day. When we're stressed out, when we're overworked, we tend to look at what went wrong very easily. And it's really, really hard for us sometimes to focus on the positives. And this is what makes us feel overwhelmed and sometimes makes us feel helpless. It is important at the end of the day just to stop for a moment and reflect.
That
And
sounds
try,
like,
yeah.
yeah, sorry, go on.
No, just to try to congratulate yourself on the little things that you have achieved. Sometimes putting a smile on someone's face is all what you need.
Yeah, you're right.
Being there for someone who's mourning is really a great achievement. So just to train ourselves to reflect on little things that we have achieved during the day.
So that was very, very practical advice. I really appreciate that. Um, so what I know that some people could have the worry that what would happen if how do they maintain also their personal boundaries so that they don't get too emotionally involved with a peer supporter with a body?
I would encourage people to also look at the online trainings for psychological first aid, because also it's a technique that helps you to run a conversation with your colleague. But if we want to make it simple, sometimes after having a difficult call with a colleague, all what you need to do is just, calm yourself down, take a few breaths and say that it's not me who is going through this. Remind yourself that it's not you who is suffering, and that you need to take care of yourself to be able to help others. Mentally distancing yourself from what your colleagues has been going through is sometimes helpful. But also it is expected. So if you need to talk to someone else about your feelings, of course, with maintaining the confidentiality of your peer, it reminds me of pressing the confidentiality issue, because if we want our peers to trust us, and we need to trust our peers, we need to keep our conversations confidential between the two of us, and we wouldn't release any piece of info to others unless we were asked to by this person, or after consulting with that person, especially if we need further help.
That sounds that sounds really good. But another question I hear people, or concern I hear people have, is what if they're paired, if it's a manager who arranges a body system, if they're paired with somebody they dislike, or they just don't like or don't take to?
It can happen easily. That's why I usually encourage people to be proactive and don't wait for the systems to to assign their peers to them. But it could be an opportunity, because usually if we're used to working to each other, we relate to each other only from one side, which is sometimes which is only work, how we can work together, and doesn't help us to see the person behind this professional self. Being paired with someone you don't get along to, look at it as an opportunity to know this person from a different side, to allow yourself or allow this person to relate to each other in a different manner than you usually used to. So it could be an opportunity.
All right, that's a very challenging point, but a good point. So to end the conversation, would you have any other advice for peer supporters, especially when we're thinking about the COVID-19 situation?
I would remind everyone that they need to take care of themselves. They need to have different ways of managing the stress, and peer support only helps that. Like, I also need to invest in maintaining my well-being as well. But can I have an advice for managers?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Because sometimes we feel that we don't have the time and energy to put these systems in place. But honestly, if we don't invest in these systems, we expect that the team dynamics will be affected. We expect that conflicts among team members will be heightened, tension will be heightened. So, and as a result, everyone will go and complain to their team leader or manager. And then as a manager, you'll have a huge headache, huh?
That was a really smart advice to give to managers.
Yeah.
Do this, and then it will save you some trouble in the end.
Yes.
Yes, that is really brilliant. So I'd like to end this conversation and say thank you very much for sharing your great experience in establishing the body systems. It's been very useful. So Despina, all the best to you. And I wish you would be my buddy in the future, because I could really need somebody like you. So thank you so much.
We will. We can do it easily. Thank you so
Let's
much.
do that. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too.